presenting Rewant and Shiuli of the Sienna family.
Calcutta being connected to the rest of the country and the world. West Bengal got the third highest number of foreign tourist arrivals in 2025.
Yes.
I don't think there's much representation of Bengali food the way we eat at home.
Not at all.
Or the way we eat in different corners of the state.
While Sienna has created this opportunity, the only way we can take it forward long term is by giving the right tools to the right people, making them feel part of the family, making them feel part of the organization, giving them ownership.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. Today we have a new set, as you can see clearly. And on this new set, we have a new couple of guests. And these are two people that I've been waiting to get on the podcast for a long time. They've made all of us here in Calcutta very happy with their contribution to our stomachs through Sienna Cafe, this beautiful cafe. If any of you have not gone to Sienna Cafe so far, I feel for you because you're really missing out on one of the gems of the culinary world in Calcutta, presenting Rewant and Shuli of the Sienna family. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
I hope you're not stressed out anymore, Shuli. I don't know what to do about this smile, Shuli.
Stress is a constant.
Stress
for
is
me.
a
Yeah.
Just like কেউ একটা বলে গেছিল, change is the only constant. Shuli's জীবনে stress is the only constant. So what have we been doing about dealing with stress in your everyday life? Because running a restaurant's not easy, right? And I was just seeing Rewant in the 2 minutes that you were not there and you went to the washroom. He was on his phone checking the live camera feed, and I'm like, this is what you're doing. It's like a weird addiction that you have. সারাদিন ধরে বসে দেখছে না, এই বাদিক থেকে 2 কিলোমিটার এদিক থেকে ওদিক চলে গেল, হ্যাঁ তাতে আমার পুরো রেস্টুরেন্টের পিএনএল এবার একটা বড় গন্ডগোল হয়ে গেল. It just feels like that. Everyone was like এরকম প্রচন্ড সিরিয়াসলি দেখছিল. From that perspective, Shuli, how is it stressful usually? Do you let your work also get you stressed out, or
It is very stressful, to be honest, because, we have the responsibility of a huge family now, at the Sienna family.
How many
which
people is
now
that?
Made up of 125 people. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a big family now, and we love them, we depend on them, but they also depend on us. So it is a stressful thing because you have to keep going and power through all the difficult times. But I don't know what I do to stress bust. I think probably spend time with my friends, and I have 2 dogs that really help with
what are their names?
everything. Nuri and Nabi.
Nuri and Abi? Nabi.
Yeah.
I love these names. Beautiful. What do they mean? Nuri to chokher moni naki?
Nuri
Nuri
is
means,
very
light.
Light.
Yeah.
Both are Arabic Urdu names.
So tell us about Nuri and
Nabi.
Yes. And who named the dogs?
Nuri and Nabi were both names given by my sister Kea. She lives in Prague. She's finishing her master's in visual arts. Mm-hmm. And Nuri means light, and Nabi means son of God. Both are Urdu Arabic names. So Nuri is like a pandemic baby that's been with us since March 2020, right before the lockdown happened, and we used to take her on deliveries all across the city, and while we were wearing PPE kits and suits and everything, and it was a very tough experience because it was really humbling for us also to get to see the city in that state, completely desolate and empty and
deserted.
And us as essential workers, we had the permit. We would get the permit for our car to go and drop off food, and so in a sense, it was really humbling for us to kind of get to be in that position of moral responsibility, social responsibility, where folks were actually contacting us on Instagram and WhatsApp and requesting us to deliver a cake or for some food for their family or in-laws. I remember there were a couple of times when some folks were actually suffering from COVID, and they didn't have access to anyone coming and even checking up on them. And they're older people who lived by themselves in some apartment complex on the bypass or Garia or Newtown or something. And,
you were there knight in shining armor.
Yeah,
we were just there
Sienna
for those few
fries.
minutes, but with the Sienna fries and Sienna specials and a little Nuri in tow with us, 6-month-old indie rescue, and
literally the light of their lives from the moment that they would see.
It was also a light at the end of the tunnel for us, because at that time we were just trying to stay afloat, and it was like starting Sienna from an absolute scratch, like starting all over again, because there was no walk-in dining. Delivery was the only possibility for many months, and then COVID also came and went in waves, and we were a small space. So then I think in 2022 we decided to expand Hindustan Park, and we purchased the other floors above the same.
Who
building.
owned the other floors?
It was I think
a family who
story.
lived there for many years.
Okay.
And different members of the family owned different floors. In the beginning, we bought the ground floor thinking it would be a very small setup. It was very homegrown at that time, and we didn't really expect to need more space. In fact, the cafe was at that time just serving tea and coffee, and like we had some baked goods from Shuktara Foundation and all of that. So we didn't expect to actually have like professional commercial kitchen set up there. So finally, during the pandemic, we realized that, right before actually, we realized that maybe there is potential to the cafe and we can expand. So that's when we decided to buy the space. Ma decided to buy the space. Our dear investor and boss lady who basically helped start everything. That is Sienna.
So on that space, actually, let's talk a little bit. Two things I want to hear. One, was that a difficult purchasing process from like people who've lived in that space? Because Hindustan Park is a very residential area.
Of course.
Considering they've probably been living there for multiple generations. Was it hard to have that conversation that suddenly you wanted to make it into Babshat Jaiga?
Of course, it is. Because I think, of course, you're very attached to your home, especially if you've grown up there and, you know, you have lots of memories there. The lady's grandfather had built the home and, you know, she was very emotionally attached, which we completely understood. So we were also giving it time. It was after a few tries that we finally decided, okay, we are going to go ahead with this. But she also kept backing out, which I completely understand because I've also grown up just a few blocks down in Kiatola in my grandmom's place as well. So I know that, you know, one can be very attached to one's home. So we also wanted to be very clear that we don't want to redevelop this building. We actually want to preserve the nice parts of it as much as we can and work around it. The idea is to not completely demolish it. So I think she was maybe a little bit, you know, relieved to hear that. And she already saw the way we were functioning on the ground floor for a couple of years. So she, I think over time, kind of hopefully trusted us on that. And we decided to sort of preserve some really nice spots, like, you know, the grill work and the windows and the staircase and things like that. So I think hopefully she's not too mad with the way
I think you've done a good job. It almost looks like a restoration in parts, you know, with the grills, and you've put the glass in front of it, and it kind of looks really nice. Let's talk about working with your mom. Okay. This is something I'm really interested about, because it's also something I have to do on my almost everyday basis. Family.
So you get it.
I think every dynamic has different, every relationship has different dynamics. So I would love to hear from you, from her. So she has been a ceramic artist, or she owned a ceramic store in Shantiniketan, right?
So basically, she is an architect by profession, and she runs my grandfather's engineering consultancy business. But she's a very artistic person. She also collects art. And she basically started this ceramic workshop in Shantiniketan in a place called Aronda village, and with a mentor, Prabhash Sen, who sort of helped her train local artisans in ceramics. So not only just terracotta work, but also glazing and firing in a certain temperature and all of that. So it was a workshop that was creating really beautiful work, but it was lying dormant in a sense that there was no exposure. And it had one, like in the workshop, there was one showroom, very small showroom. So I suggested to her that maybe we should open a store in Calcutta to showcase the products that you design. And she also used to design a lot of the stuff with the artisans there. So I suggested that we open a storefront in Calcutta that I would help her with, and then go back to the US to finish my master's.
Did that happen?
No, I didn't. Never left Calcutta. But that sort of became a bigger idea once we started at Hindustan Park. But the idea was to promote everything craft-wise from Bengal, mainly the ceramics and the pottery, but we also added, you know, dokra and metalwork and textile as well. And then, you know, I always wanted to study design, so I kind of found a channel through this effort as well. So it kind of all came together.
And aesthetics became a big part of the Sienna story, right? I think one can always
It's a
look
huge-
at Sienna. Okay, this has to look good. It has to feel good. The customer experience is extremely important, not
Yeah,
just from
it
a
is.
visual design perspective, but also from a customer
Of course.
centric, human centric
Yeah.
design perspective. But has it been hard having your mum, quote unquote, breathe down your neck because you've spent a bunch of her money to buy new floors in the house that you wanted to open a little storefront
I
to
know, I know.
showcase?
Not really. I think
No,
she's
I
been
don't
actually
think
very
so.
supportive because
She's very
she has seen.
entrepreneurial
She's
also,
also
yeah.
extremely entrepreneurial herself, and she's extremely well traveled, and I think she gets a sense of what works and what's not, what won't.
Yeah.
And back when 2015 November, when Shuli had opened Sienna store and cafe in Hindustan Park, there was not much there back then. There wasn't a coffee culture or a cafe culture in India, let alone Calcutta at that time. So like even when I came in and I see this beautiful neighborhood where, there are 100-year-old buildings, very residential, kind of reminded me of Bandra or Dadar being a
You
Bombay
come from
boy.
Bombay, yeah.
I grew up in Bombay. So for me, it kind of reminded me of those older parts of Bombay, where it has a very specific Art Deco style of architecture with the grills and the balconies and the windows and things like that. And over there, my first experience was that, wow, what is this lovely little cafe and
What is this lovely
store
little lady?
and this beautiful lady who's so warm and so beautiful, and she's I feel like I was transported. Like I walk into this lovely brick exposed store with artisanal products which are genuinely handmade and eco-friendly and sustainable, and we are not just greenwashing. She's doing the work and she's working with artisans, and that like immediately blew me away, because I myself at that time had come to Calcutta working with a startup called the Burlap People. We were making customized jute bags for everyday functional purposes. And
Another homegrown brand.
Another homegrown brand from Calcutta. Another fantastic brand with my friends Karuna and Sam. And in fact, that's how I met Shuli, because Karuna was doing a shoot at Sienna, and our values were very similar. We were also working with karigars, second, third generation karigars, to create, to use something which has naturally been here for thousands of years, but elevate it for a contemporary audience, not just in Calcutta, but across India and the globe. And our efforts were very similar, and that's why we started doing pop-ups together. We started traveling together. We were doing pop-ups at Sienna. We got to do pop-ups in
As
Kerala.
Burlap People, you're saying.
Burlap
Right?
People
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Sienna together.
And there
we
has been a long association between the two brands as well. Even now, I
sure.
think you have a little
We
corner
still-
for
we
Burlap
still do.
People.
Yeah,
and
yeah, we still retail Burlap People bags.
Yeah.
We have been for the last 9 years. And so, I mean, not just for Burlap, but like other brands as well who have been associated along the way with Sienna. It's been a very exciting journey, because I think from the beginning, everyone understands that whatever Shuli does or gets into, every detail, every touch point, every soft or hard element of every experiential touch point is going to be taken care of. It's not going to be something that's just there because it's there. It's there for a purpose and a function, whether it's aesthetic or, just whatever.
You've taught him well, huh?
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
No, I'm a genuine admirer of, because I've seen her.
You are definitely not sleeping on the couch tonight.
No, I'm not sleeping on the couch.
You're like full
I never sleep on the
points.
couch. I never sleep on the couch.
Never sleep on the couch.
No, she's amazing, because I have seen her go from that, obviously entrepreneur who's trying to do it all herself, and like she's been trying to make Calcutta relevant for the longest time on her own, even though she's like lived abroad and studied abroad and came back, and so have I, but we both met at different times in our life, and kind of both of us were trying to do our own entrepreneurial journeys, and one thing led to another, and we started hanging out. At that time, we our shared love language, we realized, was food to begin with.
Obviously.
So even as friends,
What
she
else?
would take me for South Indian breakfast on a Sunday morning, or we would go try the latest sushi place, or whatever was exciting in Calcutta. And I was new to Calcutta, so for me everything was exciting. So I loved it. I was like,
So, okay, let's do a quick little rapid fire, okay? So, top
Oh, no,
three
I'm
restaurants, both of you will answer this separately.
no,
Top
no,
three
no.
restaurants without which Calcutta's signature would be lost. And Sienna can't be part of it.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean, it is for me, but for you guys
Yeah.
to talk about
Thank
it
you.
in a very neutral way.
I think for me, I have quite a few favorites. For me, Jessie Young is a big one.
Okay.
Because she runs a supper club. Again, someone who I discovered during the pandemic. She is an OG Chinese Indian woman who cooks her own food. Just her and her husband Peter, they deliver the food and do pick up and drop and take away. And they've done a fantastic job. Especially for a city that is known for Indian Chinese food. You have some fantastic places like Tung Nam and Alyang, which serves amazing wonton noodles. Nothing fancy, nothing over the top in terms of ambience or anything, but the food itself tells a story and is very authentic in a very real kind of way. It's not pretentious in any way. Similarly, Jessie Young is another one. So I think those two are big ones for me. And of course, when it comes to like the Park Street nostalgia, hospitality part of Calcutta, I think Trinkas and barbecue is my all-time favorite because because of Hirsch, we used to go on many dates over there and for the Chinese food and
With you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she grew up there. She grew up at barbecue. Her grandfather's office used to get food from. It'd be damn
I love this restaurant because
She went
Shuli
on
used to
many
used to go there with all her exes. I never went, but that's
Then Trinkas is another one because we love what
Anand
Anand has done, yeah.
especially restoring it, bringing the live music scene back.
We love
and,
that, yeah.
And
with that karaoke spot at the back as well. Right? It's a
Amazing.
great fun place. We actually had Anand and Ushadi in our first season.
I remember,
Very really
Yes,
fun
yes.
fun episode with both of them about Park Street of the 70s, 80s,
Yeah,
90s,
yeah.
like a whole like a chronological understanding.
It's like
of
an
what
alternative universe.
it is a different universe, and there were we had heard this story that apparently there were people coming down from other cities to Park Street. I mean, we were probably too young at that point, but coming down just for the weekends, have a great time on Park Street in like a 200 square meter radius, and then go back to their cities. So, which was quite a unique thing to think
And
about.
the
Like
crazy
nightlife.
thing is now, Meghdut, that's happening again. Like now, I feel like, of course, with Calcutta being connected to the rest of the country and the world, I don't know if you read recently, there was a report in which West Bengal got the third highest number of foreign tourist arrivals in 2025, as per Ministry of Tourism, I believe, some 3.5 million visitors. So it's not just like the Durga Puja. I mean, besides the puja itself, food and hospitality is what I was trying to say, is like a huge pull for Calcutta. And a lot of our friends who've been visiting recently, like at least during winter time and all, when folks come and they're like, oh, what's new in Calcutta? And we love taking them to places like Nutcase, Amar Khamar, Little Bit Sober.
All great places.
All great places.
spots.
And and Popo's. Popo's is another favorite of ours.
Popo's. I don't
Popo's,
think I've gone there.
it's next to, it's from the same family as Blue Poppy.
Okay.
Sikkim House.
All right. Okay.
Chef Doma,
Yeah,
Momo Queen of
Doma Di,
India and Sachiko. I think they are doing a wonderful job representing the city and representing the state. So there are pockets of really cool things that are happening. I think it'll just take some more time and more collaborations and hopefully interesting ways to work together to kind of bring out the community to the forefront.
More entrepreneurs like you all as well, I think, so dedicated towards really shaping the food industry, because I think a lot of people from the outside don't probably realize this, but running a food business is not easy.
It's
like
a thankless
low
job.
margins, thankless job, din nahi ratne, always people,
You don't have a
no
life
matter if you tell
outside,
no matter if you tell people don't DM me for reservations, they will still DM me.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
reservations.
absolutely.
Case in point, every time I need to go, I know I could possibly call the number and I could call the person on Google Maps, but it's a faceless person. I don't know. I know Rewant. I'm going to do that. And
That
Pauline gets
personal
so.
connection is
It is.
important.
It's super important.
Yeah.
Pauline gets super mad about this. But every time I go out in Calcutta, I have to know the person whose restaurant or hotel or whatever service I am, accepting. I don't want a favor from them. I just want them to know that I am here. I love the work that you do, and it's almost like a patronage to the place, right?
Yeah.
Pauline's like, why do you need to do this? Why can't you just be a nobody for one day? Why don't you just walk to a place like, they did as if they didn't know you. Anyway, they will find out and they will come, and then that's 10 minutes into a conversation that we were gonna have. Why must you, say this out loud before? I don't know. This is the person that I am. I can't change
Pauline
myself.
On this.
I
would rather just go in and
just go in and out. It doesn't, unfortunately.
I was just telling a friend last night only how when we were in Bangkok last year for a holiday, and I couldn't get a seat for Gagan Anand's tasting menu, so we ended up going to his
Michelin star, right?
Yeah, it's like number 1 in Asia, number 6 in the world, and obviously Gagan Anand is legend, Calcutta boy, and representing India on the world scale now. But we couldn't get a reservation at his restaurant, so we went to his other restaurant called Miss Maria and Mr. Singh, which is like a fusion between Mexican, Indian food, what it would be, like his interpretation of that. And it was really good. Like the restaurant was fantastic, service was amazing, the hospitality next level, and suddenly Gagan walks out into the kitchen and he's just observing, and he's also enjoying that his kitchen is busy, so he's taking videos. And I, quite a lot like you, can't help myself. I was just like, hey chef, how's it going? We are from Calcutta, come on nacho. And she's like, oh my God.
I died a slow death. Like I melted into my seat.
First-hand embarrassment, like straight up. He's like,
what are you doing? He's like, in his work mode, and like, can we not wave at him, please? And by that time it was too late. He was already like, chef, like, hi. And I was just
like, attention-seeking behavior, Max.
Yeah.
Did he come by and say hi?
Yeah, of course.
So it worked out well in the end. Imagine if he hadn't. Imagine he was like, oh God, this is why I left Calcutta, came to Bangkok, and now suddenly people following me here. Stalkers. Going back to representation, you were talking about, but let's not just talk about Gagan. He's done a great job in every right. But you guys, what you're doing with Sienna, winning awards left, right, and center, putting up pop-ups in different parts of the world, that counts for something. It's suddenly like, every time I'm in Art Basel and I would, see representation happening here from Calcutta, then it makes me happy, right? I'm like, okay, you have a Calcutta gallery going and representing them. On top of that, they're curating part of the entire event at Art Basel, so that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, when this keeps happening at scale, right? What would you expect people outside of Calcutta who are getting the first ever touch point with Sienna in a global pop-up somewhere, or hearing about you guys from an award ceremony somewhere, what is the one thing that you would like to be remembered for?
I think over time we've realized that the representing Bengal is obviously a sort of larger idea of representing the diversity of Bengal a little bit. I think any cuisine can be stereotyped, and there are 3-4 popularized dishes from any cuisine that people think of, and even when they think of Bengali food, there are a few things that they think of. I think very few people around the world, I've grown up going to the US as well, my family lives there, I don't think there's much representation of Bengali food the way we eat at home.
Not at all.
Or the way we eat in different corners of the state. Just in Birbhum itself, we just started doing some explorations with different people who are doing work in the area, and just that little exploration has given us, has opened our walls up.
Immense, like a worldview opening
for
experience.
For our chefs especially. So I think just try and represent as much of the diversity as we can. Again, I always say this, we don't want to be preachy. We're not trying to tell people this is how Bengalis eat. The idea is just to sort of create an ecosystem around the region. Just whether it's
and celebrate it.
Yeah, and celebrate it.
Because, even for an outsider like myself, I can see that the culture around food here is inherently part of the history, the geography, everything. The state is so fertile because of the Gangetic Plains and, because of Sundarbans and the plains being right here. And when we talk about an undivided Bengal, you talk about entire Bengal, the Epar, Opar, everything, and people from all sides. And food habits, whether it was along the coast or on the river plains or on the next to the mountains, it was always very diverse because people would come here to trade. This was a major region for people from, Southeast Asia, from rest of India to come here, trade, learn from each other, live together. And it's been happening here for hundreds of years. It's only now that you see that even in the restaurant landscape, it's happened with Indian food, when it comes to North Indian food. I think it's happened a lot. But now I feel like it's also happening to a certain extent, as she mentioned, with Bengali food. That there are a couple of dishes which have become staples at every Bengali restaurant, even though they might not represent the diversity.
Which ones would you say, Shuli, are...
I think
aloo posto type?
like a kosha mangsho.
Kosha mangsho is
like
definitely one. I think
malai curry.
Chingri
I think
malai
that's
curry is another one.
Even my friends probably who wouldn't have eaten beyond that. But when they come to my home, for example, then they see so many vegetarian options. Like, oh, we didn't even know Bengalis eat so many vegetables.
Yeah.
Shudhu mach
Yeah.
khai.
Shudhu mach
Shudhu
khai.
mach
That's
khai. I
I think
another
you
stereotype.
did a episode about where you talked about Chingri malai curry and how it originates
That's true, yes.
from Malaysia.
And the beginnings of the malai, like the malai
the
curry
malai.
and the malai.
Yeah.
It's just, I find food very exciting and interesting. And
It is.
It is extreme.
is.
And you understand so much about socio-economic context.
Absolutely.
You understand about how people traveled and how they brought their foods with it. And of course, nothing is absolute, right? Like Bengali food obviously was shaped also by a whole bunch of different other people and regions.
Yeah.
And so
It's always
giving
been a
homage
melting
to
pot,
so the giving homage to that is going to be very important. In terms of all the awards that you won so far, is there one that you think is...
I never thought about the awards. Like when I started Sienna,
Everybody says all this.
But it's so true. Like everything around the awards just stress me out so much. Like these months are coming when the awards are coming up, and I'm just like, could I hide somewhere? It makes me feel, absolutely.
I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Because he is also
Hey
like,
chef, can I get another award?
he'll be waving.
He'll be waving for the...
Honestly, it really stresses me out. I think it's a great validation for the team and for all of us, because we feel like we're doing work in this one corner, and then suddenly you get validation on a national platform. Then you feel like, okay, wow, I guess we're doing good work. And it also brings light back to Calcutta, which is a huge thing. Like when we're in the award shows, the East India section is quite small, and we like stick together, and we want to like be proud of representing the,
So who all are there usually with you guys?
It's usually Domadi, Sachiko, Big Path, then there's Six Baliganj Place, then there's Glenburn
Penthouse.
Penthouse.
Love the work that they all do.
Recently, the Amoli from
Amoli from
Shantiniketan has joined in, which is amazing. I love what they're doing. So I think the larger that grows, that would be great. Then I can hide behind all of them. It'd be wonderful. But the awards, I think, again, it's just like a blur for me. Like, if we get recognition, amazing, because the team also feels very good.
They feel validation for their work, right?
Yeah.
At the end
And
of
they're
it, it's
doing
a
great
thankless...
work, and they should
Yeah.
get validated for it. And also, again, that representation of Bengal, it's really nice to hear of more restaurants from this city. But yeah,
Usually when
very nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah, when you're at these awards, like which like for me, the first time was 2019. Was when the first time we got nominated for Condé Nast Top New Awards, Top New Restaurants. This is pre-pandemic.
Did you
And
guys win it?
Back then, we were listed on. That's why we were invited. And so I think she couldn't come, or she was too nervous, and she was like, "Can you please go for this?"
I said,
and I was like,
come.
"Sure, I'll go," because I want to represent Sienna, because I believe that the work that we are doing right now is important, and it should be represented. And if you are getting recognition, all for it. You should wear that like a badge of honor. Why not? And I walk into this 5-star hotel in Delhi, and there are these chefs and restaurateurs from all over India, and I had just stepped into the hospitality world back then with Sienna, and I was still discovering the new chefs, the young chefs from Bombay and Delhi and Bangalore who are making their mark, restaurants that are making their mark, and I was just starstruck. And that was for me the beginning of our award journey. In 2023, I would say, is when the crescendo sort of happened, where we won. We were invited for Condé Nast 2023 Top Restaurant Awards, and
global.
This is for India. This is for top restaurants in India, top 50 restaurants in India, and
you guys did make it to the list, right?
We made it to the list, and very nerve-wrackingly throughout the night we had to keep on waiting. And at one point we thought, are we on the list? Is there a mistake?
Yeah.
Why did they call us if they're not calling our name?
And
then, it became rank 20, then 25, then 15, and then 10, and then apna naam abhi bhi nahi aa raha hai. And we are like, what the heck is going on? And in nervousness, I'd had quite a bit of whiskey, and
All
I was
of
trying
us
to
had nothing to eat and lots
we
to
had
drink,
nothing- yeah.
and we hadn't gone to the bathroom in hours because we couldn't leave because we didn't know when our
they
name
keep
would
calling
be
one restaurant
Yeah,
after
yeah.
another,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's like a
very
list that goes from 50 to
stressful, yeah.
1. So we were just happy to be there. We had no expectation of ki kya ranking hoga, nahi hoga. And suddenly, as we break into the top 10, we see the Ilish March photo of
Picture
our
of
our
our
dish
Pujo
from
menu,
Sienna,
I
from our
think.
Pujo menu in
Yeah.
2022. And that's when I think I breathed a sigh of relief, and that was a really special moment, winning number 5 in India.
Number
I
5
think that
in
was,
India.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was really special, and we came back and celebrated with our team and threw a party for the team as well. I called everyone over to our house on our chat, and we celebrated. We called 6 Baliganj and did a full Bengali spread for them.
Yeah,
and
it was amazing.
From 6 Baliganj.
From 6
What a
Baliganj.
nice collaborative move.
Yeah, yeah.
We won the top
Best
5,
Yeah,
but,
quality
but Bengali
catering.
food.
But Bengali aap hi karoge.
आप लोग ही करो, वो better है. No, makes sense.
So no, and it was just again, I think it wouldn't have been possible without chefs Avinandan, Koyal, and the entire team that toiled in and day out. And I can't take credit for that, honestly. Neither I don't think any of us can take credit for that, because for us it was just knowing that these are things that we have to hand over to professionals and let them do this work. Because while Sienna has created this opportunity, this beautiful opportunity, the only way we can take it forward long term is by giving the right tools to the right people, making them feel part of the family, making them feel part of the organization, giving them ownership. And that has allowed us to push the hospitality to another level. I think that is why, like you said, even if people walk out without saying anything about the food, the experience is something they always walk away positively with, because that was one intention that we had, that anyone who walks into the space feels like they are welcomed. And ultimately that's what hospitality is all about. We may not know each other professionally or personally, but at the end of the day, we all enjoy food, and we might enjoy different kinds of food and different kinds of things. And the way we communicate and understand and experience that, acha, this is what you're about, then we can recommend certain dishes to you or certain cocktails to you.
And the nudges are happening.
And then the little nudges are happening, and then create something special, create something magical, which turns a regular Friday afternoon into
a very special moment.
Into a nice moment over the week that you take back with.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we have kept evolving with as Sienna, and that validation of Condé Nast's top 5 restaurant pushed us to take that further, because we realized that now the expectation is
like the moment
higher.
you get these awards and people see them on our shelf, the expectation is very high.
Yeah.
So suddenly, you're also
cannot
operating.
disappoint.
Yeah, you have to operate at a higher level now.
Yeah.
So you can't make mistakes. I mean, we still have lots of very stressful reviews out there because, it's a constant thing. I mean, for me, what I've learned over time is just like the consistency bit is the most important thing for a restaurant. Like every day you just have to be good at service. The food has to be top quality, like every day. And that's the most important thing. And that's what I see a lot of the restaurants in, say, Bombay or Delhi, Bangalore, Goa do. When I look up to them, I look up to them because of that.
There are
That's
there are average restaurants everywhere. There are good restaurants also everywhere. And the good ones stand as a good one, as apart, because they have a consistent product and an experience that they can consistently keep putting out year after year. And I think now in our 10th year at Sienna also, we have also kept on elevating and taking the experience up, both literally and physically now as we've gone up the building. Going up the building.
What's happening on the third floor?
Third floor, we just started a new thing called Ranna Ghar by Sienna.
That's so we have to go and cook.
No, it's a chef's table.
Okay.
It's a 8-seater chef's table where our head chefs Avinandan and Koyal, along with the team, cook a tasting menu, a 13-course tasting menu.
Yeah.
It's a Bengal forward tasting menu, which allows you to kind of get into an intimate space with the chefs, where they also engage you with stories of what are the influences, what are the ingredients that we are using, why are we using them. Every dish in that room, that experience is curated by us. It's made by someone in Bengal, right from the tableware itself. And it's something very unique, and it's something very special that we felt was lacking in Calcutta at least I don't know of any such space that's doing like a chef's table in Calcutta. So this is the first time. We just started 2 weeks ago. So far, so
how's
good.
The response been?
So far, so good. And people seem to be enjoying the food.
It's happening every day?
It's happening every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. It's by reservation only.
Okay. And you have to book out the whole table?
No, you can
you don't
book,
have to.
Okay. You can book as per your...
Do you have like a minimum? How does it work for you if you have like 3 people who book the chef's table?
That's fine.
That's
fine.
absolutely
You
fine.
don't
Right
cook.
now we're just doing it because it's also like for us, it's also we have to practice it out also because it's a very new idea because everything is being cooked in front of you. So it's almost like theater. You have to keep practicing. But I think right now we're just open to feedback as well. So we're calling like our
Happy
friends.
to come and be a guinea pig.
Please bring Pauline. Please come. It's honestly, I'm really, really proud of the team. We also got to sit for a service 2 weeks back. In fact, I had my best friends from Bombay were here last week for Independence Day, and I took them for Rannagar, and I was overwhelmed by
the response?
By not just the response, the entire experience, the way it's been curated and set up. It's like a chef's table izakaya type thing where you never get so close to the cook and get into the mind of the cook and mind of the chef and try to uncover what it is all about. But because of Abhinandan and Koyal's temperament and because also the fact that they are proud Bengalis who have learned their craft and mastered their craft and now want to share that with the world.
And they're not originally chefs, right? I think Abhinandan is a lawyer.
Abhinandan studied law and then he went to Paris and worked in Michelin stars in Paris and Copenhagen before he came back to India in 2019. Back then he had joined us as a consultant chef and then he became our head chef. And Koyal is IHM graduate who went on to work at Oberoi Grand in Calcutta. And then she was working for Chef Ritu Dalmia at Diva Restaurants. She was managing one of her cafes in Delhi before she decided to join us in 2019 as well. So both of them actually joined us right before the pandemic. And back then our plans were really different, but pandemic kind of threw them off and forced us to take a loan again and just to stay afloat and keep things kind of going. And it took us time, but touch wood, we are finally at that place where things have looked up.
It's all paid off.
We are profitable, and
now you're profitable.
We've been profitable for the last 2 years.
How long?
Now.
Just for our viewers to understand the gestation period of a restaurant. I mean, if you look at the Southern Avenue এলাকা ওখানে প্রত্যেক দিন 3টে নতুন রেস্টুরেন্ট খোলে 2টো নতুন বন্ধ হয়, right? So that's been a trend, and like always people get into restaurant business thinking, okay, you know what, it's going to be so good.
It looks very glamorous and fun.
But it's the work that goes on behind is difficult. So now let's get to the economics of the business, economics of the restaurant business. How long did it take for you to get profitable? Also, let's factor into the fact into the equation that you tried out another space, this co-working space in Park Street that kind of worked out. Pandemic came in between all of that, but how long did it take for you guys to pay off everything, go cash?
So in the beginning, when Shuli started the cafe in 2015, and I keep telling this to everyone, that Sienna is not something that's happened now. It's great that people are getting to discover Sienna now through Instagram. Through
it's a bit like a podcast. We've been doing it for ages. People
Finally,
last weekend, I think for the first time, more than 3 people told me, "Oh, you're the guy from that podcast." That is it. They don't know my name. They don't know the name of the podcast. It's just they're the guy from the podcast.
So she was Miss Shiana for the longest time.
Miss Shiana.
People used to call her Shiana. And I'm standing outside Hindustan Park. I'm wondering what's going on.
Is that a secret identity for my wife?
And people are calling her Shiana madam, and I'm so anyway. I think as far as when you look at the overall restaurant industry globally, and this is not just for India, globally, the case is that 60 to 65% restaurants shut down in the first year. 90% restaurants, that's 9 out of 10 restaurants will shut down by their third year. Most restaurants are trying to break even between their second and third year. And this is where I keep telling people that, Shuli, she's got a great instinct, not just as a designer, but as a hospitality expert, because what she created with that 20-seater in Hindustan back in 2015 was already profitable by 2017-18. It was doing really well.
Otherwise, she wouldn't have dreamt of opening up more spaces. And
Correct.
Back then, it was like a hole in the wall. I remember the original
Yeah,
Sienna.
it was very
Everyone
small.
wanted to go there.
It would take 45 minutes to get a
I
cup
was
of
like, how
coffee.
am I going to ever get a
Yeah.
seat? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like,
And we didn't also realize that we were focusing on we were focusing on the store, but actually the cafe was bringing a lot of people there.
course.
And then they would wander to the store. It was complementing each other, but we were just focusing on the store side because we didn't have any experience in the F&B world. So then we realized, the cafe is actually bringing people here. And there is something to it, so we should actually focus on the food side.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help us grow.
I will need to know about. So it was profitable back then as well.
So it was profitable back then itself, but then the Park Street space expansion experiment happened, and that was a very expensive, very large experiment, and it felt like being thrown in the deep end of where the sharks hang out. Park Street. I mean, it's a great obviously.
The Big
High
Boys
Street
Club,
commercial, Big Boys Club area, and the expectation of people was also like that only. And suddenly we were catering to the office going crowd. Like executives would come for their meetings, they would do their interviews, they would take up our co-working space and do their meetings and all over there. A lot of national brands at the time that were doing campaigns in and around Calcutta or were coming to Calcutta for some campaign, they would take up our co-working space. I was trying to curate the music at that time because we had about 700 square feet kind of largish room, which was a perfectly rectangular room designed by her mum. So we used to throw gigs over there where we would invite indie artists from outside Calcutta.
Yeah.
Because the idea was to let's bring, Ditty from Delhi or...
I like Ditty.
Yeah, Ditty was awesome. She launched one of her albums at Sienna, and
I think Nishit used to do some curation work there.
Nishit used to do a lot of curation before that for us, and also used to help us back then with DJ Scape and other things like that, would help us with the sound. And that was a really exciting period, but also nerve-wracking because it was so expensive. And it was like we had no idea what the heck was going on.
We didn't know what we were doing.
We were like headless chickens, and we had a new team, new chefs, but they were also trying to figure out what to do, how to make it. And at that point is when I kind of realized that, hey, we need someone senior. We need someone like a Avinandan and Koyal and so on to kind of come and help build us a proper kitchen team, which has professional experience and understanding of how to do execution and how to bring out plates consistently every time and how to train a team and put that menu together. And that experiment, unfortunately, got timed into the pandemic time, the lockdown, the first lockdown. And that kind of pushed us into that loss-making space for quite some time. I would say till 22, 23. 23 is when we finally were back in the green, and
all the other floors were also done.
We took
by
up
this
the
time.
other floors. We took up the other floors. The renovation we just did now. The renovation we just did last year, where we shut down the building and we decided that, the 94-year-old joint family house never designed to be a restaurant, cafe and store. And with the kind of footfalls that happened during Durga Puja and people were calling us and like yelling at us and telling us all kinds of things ki yaar aapke yahan jagah nahi milta hai, this and that. So we had also
felt
so
bad.
much.
Yeah,
We
there
felt
was like
bad.
lines,
We were like,
and we wanted to feed more people.
How can we expand the seating more, make it more efficient so that more people can come and eat more food and enjoy, because clearly they like the food, they like the experience. So I think that's why now last year when we did the renovation, by the way, we have rebranded the entire space into just Sienna, no longer store and cafe. Once people enter the space, we tell them that, hey, on the ground floor is our store and cafe, just how it was originally, just with some more seating and some more space. First floor is our bazaar to table restaurant, or
farm to table called.
We call it bazaar to table.
Bazaar to table.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like
because in Calcutta
Bengal
it works like
table,
yeah. And we call it the Khabar Ghar. With the Bara Bari, which is the name of our bar. And that is where we do our like casual restaurant style, small plates, large plates, as you experienced last week. And above that is Rannaghar, which is the ultimate kind of chef's table experience, which is by reservation only. So we've decided to create and curate these three different dining experiences within the same building. So that caters to the same audience but for different needs. So say if you want to go for a coffee and a slice of cake, you could do that in the cafe. Or you are celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, you can, or you have someone visiting from out of town, you can bring them to Rannagar, or maybe take them to the restaurant and bar on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And I think that is what we were trying to create, like something different at Sienna.
So it's like how most brands start off saying, oh, I'm a one-stop shop for everything, which is the weirdest thing to say. You can't be a one-stop shop for anything.
Yeah.
Now finally there is something for everyone, but you have to choose their experience, and you're giving them the lay of the land. You find out where you need to go, etc. I think it's really smart. I think the way that you figured out the spacing of it, that's
the
been
customers see it that way.
I think people are seeing it
I
that
think
way.
Finally people are seeing that it's actually nice to be experiencing three different things in one building.
And you can't probably experience all three of them at the same time, as you shouldn't. You probably need to.
As you shouldn't.
But like, coming back to a little bit about the store, because I feel that because the beginnings of it was with the store. So from then to now, what kind of products, what kind of brands? Because I feel like the story of Sienna.
New Sienna drip.
New Sienna drip.
What she's wearing, what I'm wearing, this is all
Mine's
Sienna.
not, but
We've got something for you.
It's in the box.
We've got something for you.
What have you got? Is that the new Sienna drip? Am I going to
It's
have
a classic one. I gave you a classic one. I didn't know if you had one or not.
Relevant again.
Yay! Thank you very much.
Something from Sienna, designed by Shuli.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open this just after the episode. Thank you so much for the drip, which I'm guessing it is because you said that then. But I want to hear a little bit more about some of the brands that helped create the Sienna of today. Let's do let's do it as shout outs. Would be good.
Okay.
Maybe the brands that you've enjoyed working with the most. That we've already spoken about Burlap, so that's an important
was there
one
from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, and also close friends. Otherwise, your Calcutta story itself wouldn't have happened. Which are the other brands without which the Sienna story wouldn't have happened?
So most of the products that we have in the store are actually manufactured in-house. We work with artisans to design everything from textile to jewelry. Again, the idea was promoting craft, but with some design intervention as much as possible. But we also work with people like the Burlap people, or Tan and Loom now, or other organizations. Other organizations that are basically working again with grassroots level people or artisans or natural materials, or especially also from the region. The idea is to create an ecosystem from the region.
For the food aspect, I would say the biggest brands that we work with is Amar Khamar, because they are doing Sujo and Sarah.
Phenomenal job. I love what they do.
Amazing people as well.
Amazing human beings, and what they're doing for Bengal, what they've been doing for the farmers of Bengal, and creating that real impact where it really matters by bringing back almost 70 to 100 different varietals of rice that people from here don't know about.
Exactly. I had most of the kinds of rice I've bought at Amar Khamar. I'm like, I gave it to my mom. She's like, "Ito to shuni nahi kakhono." I'm like, "Ito to darun."
Same. I'm also learning.
So that's what we've been using in our kitchen a lot over the last couple of years. Things like bodi, ghee from Shantiniketan. Earth Story Farms has been a loyal supplier of
these guys also.
Taler Gur, Nolan Gur, and things like that. So within our entire ecosystem, not just the food aspect, but also the store and the artisans that Shuli works with directly. When she said 125 people, only 60 people work in the restaurant, and about 30 people work in her textile stitching, printing kind of unit, where they do all the batik printing, they produce all the clothes and jewelry and stationery. And then there's another 35 people who work in the ceramics unit, where we work with about 35 mostly artisans, second, third generation artisans from Daronda village, who make all the ceramic items. And that business we've tried to pivot a little more into B2B because of our understanding and knowledge from the restaurant business. Because when she started the cafe, the idea was not just to sell the ceramics at the store, but also serve food, serve coffee on those ceramic ware. So one would get that association that, hey, I can also take this home, and maybe I could gift a tea set or a coffee set to someone for a birthday, anniversary, so on and so forth. And that association really worked for us. And I think we are one of the only few restaurants, I don't know of any other restaurant that has the capability of making their own tableware, designing and making their own tableware. So I think we've taken that to the next level in the last couple of years when we started working with Subco Coffee from Bombay.
Of course.
We've been making all their cups, plates are handmade by artisans at our workshop in Daronda.
Super. I did not know that actually. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not just incoming, you're also exporting Bengal outside, exporting Calcutta, taking it
Proudly
outside.
making in Bengal. And I think now because of our cafe and our restaurant also getting the kind of national exposure, there are new cafes that are opening up in small towns like Chandigarh, Lucknow, Nagpur, of course Bangalore, Bombay, who are getting in touch with us, hotels that are opening in Jaipur that are getting in touch with us for customized plates, tableware.
If you're opening up a restaurant and you would like to have some beautifully designed ceramics, here I am selling wares on behalf of the Sienna guys.
This is the part of the work that we really enjoy and appreciate, because this is working with real people. Just like our chefs, the artisans are also extremely skilled people, and they do a certain craft which is, looked down upon generally, and people don't pay them a fair amount. So we want to create an ecosystem where they not only get fair wages, but the impact of the purchase that you make, or even the shout out that you're making, we want that impact to be on their lives and not just on our balance sheet and our P&L.
And that comes across as the kind of people you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sticking it out and doing that. Yeah. It takes a lot to get us in a place where we can accept all of that love, but also to keep doing it every day, so that 10 years from now somebody would be saying, oh yeah, I'm glad they did that podcast, and because of that 3 of those other brands offshoots went on to become major industries or something happened.
Absolutely.
Then that would come back to us at some point, like, okay,
I hope through this conversation people get to know more about brands like Amar Khamar, Earth Story Farms, even the small village of Daronda. I think a lot of people in Bengal go to Shantiniketan, but Daronda has become this little spot like 13 kilometers away from Shantiniketan, where there are these lovely homestays that have come up, and what is the...
It's very close to Bonolokhi.
Bonolokhi, okay.
It's right next to that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our meals also happen at Bonolokhi, and such a lovely farm-to-table experience. And so that, just being part of that ecosystem is also really, really special for us. So that's why every month we drive down to Shantiniketan and stay there a couple of days, work with the artisans. Sometimes I'm also hauling back ceramics from there in my car to come and drop it off at Sienna. So
and hopefully we move there one day.
Hopefully
that's the big plan.
I would love to.
So life would come a proper full circle if you move back to Shantiniketan.
It would be great.
Yeah,
living in nature with like 10 dogs.
Oh wow,
10 dogs and a farm.
Yeah.
Grow our own vegetables. Grow our own kumro and tomato.
Grow our own kumro. The name of this episode is going to be Grow Our Own Kumro. Must be put on a t-shirt
and
also.
Aloo,
Send it out to
And aloo, of course,
yeah. No, but amazing. This I learned so much about the work that you all do.
Thank you.
And I guess this is also the reason I do the podcast. I'm just a curious person with ADHD. So I can't, there was a time I could read more books because lesser distractions. Now I just, it's very hard to sit down. So I learn from people.
Yeah.
And this is a great way of learning about our city and the incredible people in our city who are working every day to make it relevant. Like you said, Shuli's been doing this for close to 15 years.
Yeah.
So it needs to be spoken about. These are stories, in spite of the fact that you are a little bit shy and you don't want to come in front of the camera and you don't want to take the awards and you don't want to take the recognition. We still need you to tell your story.
Yeah.
Hence the podcast. My God.
Thank you.
Had to validate my own reason of being here. Full existential moment. But thanks so much, guys, for coming down today and chatting with us about the journey. It's been so much fun. And I hope that, Sienna keeps getting the kind of recognition that it already gets. We all love Sienna. It's very hard to get a table, so some things are going very well for you guys. Can't wait to check out the Chef's Table experience.
Yes.
During the Durga Puja, before the Durga Puja, actually, there's the preview puja happening with Mass Art. So we curate celebrate that as well. Be sure that I will be bringing a whole bunch of guests.
No, so we are
Please
also
do,
bringing in
please do.
a few guests and friends from Bombay and Delhi.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we want to bring them to the Mass Arts
The
function.
preview puja. So
Yeah.
let's collab. So
let's
as part of our
connect.
convoy, we can take all of these
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
along.
Absolutely.
Along with them, I'm guessing these are going to be interesting people. So quick little segue. Otherwise, my team's going to kill me. We have the CCU Fest coming up on the 19th
Amazing.
to 21st,
Amazing.
which is a celebration of Calcutta. It's an anti-nostalgia festival, and we do this only because we want to sell the present and the future of the city.
Yeah.
Right. Sell the idea of what the city could be.
Right.
And from this perspective, Sienna plays a very, very important role in what the city of today, the Calcutta city of today that we see. People, we recognize a privilege. There is very little intersectionality in this conversation. Please pardon me, but we will still believe that, Sienna plays a very important role in my Calcutta.
Yeah.
And hence, we would love for Sienna to be a partner to the festival and bring some of the ceramics, bring some of the people, bring an experience if you want to the people. And definitely for the guests who are coming in, the speakers, artists. It's a 3-day festival. We're expecting about 10,000 people this year.
Oh my
Amazing.
goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. It's happening at the Bishwabangla Exhibition Center, and we've also tied up with the Kolkata Tattoo Festival. So it's going to be the
lovely.
biggest tattoo festival in the country. 400 artists, 150 international artists coming into Calcutta, and tied it up at the same time as the preview of the Durga Puja. So we can all day we can have the festival. In the evenings we can see the Durga Puja. In the middle somewhere, we figured out a chef's table at Sienna.
Yeah.
So look forward to that.
Amazing.
And in the meantime, guys, just a quick reminder, please do not DM Shuli or Rewant for reservations with Sienna. You can Google them, find them on Instagram. And if you are going there and if you've seen this episode, then you can, at the end of your Google comments, you can also say, Make Calcutta Relevant Again. Cheers.
Make Calcutta relevant again. You already know. Relevant again.